Meet the ZV-1. It might look cute and harmless, but I assure you that with the right settings, this little beginner camera can turn into a run-and-gun beast. Now I know the ZV-E10 just came out and everybody's really excited about it, including myself. It looks really, really neat, but I know that they may seem very similar, but the E10 is gonna be closer to something like in the A6000 line, like an A6400 and A6600, which is really great, but you still can't get some of the same things out of it that you can out of something that is this tiny, that is this inexpensive with the lens included. This is something that you can literally stick in your pocket, and this right now you can get on sale for around 500 bucks. So if you want to turn this cute little cuddly baby beginner camera into a real run and gun pocket monster, I've got 5 things that you're going to want to do to it right now, starting with get yourself a cage. Now, there are lots of options. This is just a little small rig cage. It still keeps my camera very compact. I can still fit it in most pockets, maybe not jean pockets, but anything else I'm wearing. You get an extra hot shoe, or I guess cold shoe mount down here on the bottom, and then you get all of these additional mounts, which is great because if you try to mount this thing on a tripod without one of these, without being able to offset on these plates, time comes for you to change your battery out, to change your memory card out. You're gonna have to pull this thing entirely off the tripod in order to give the door down here enough clearance to swing open. But luckily this small rig cage not only solves that issue, it also gives me a lot of other great stuff. So I'll put it up on screen for about $30-ish. I think that this is a great upgrade and it just makes it feel more substantial like a real camera. The next thing that I really, really highly recommend that you do is take advantage of the fact that this camera has picture profiles. Now, certain picture profiles I don't know that I would take advantage of, but things like HLG2 I use on this camera on a regular basis. But that's not only going to give you just a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to editing your video, but it's also going to give you the ability to better match your main camera, your A cam, because this may be something that you use as a B cam, and you might as well match them up to each other if you're going to go that route. The next thing that you absolutely want to take advantage of is the memory buttons. Now that's something that I do on every single camera I have, but it's especially helpful on the ZV-1 because you don't have a ton of buttons and knobs like you do on some of the bigger cameras. So when it comes time to dial in your aperture, when it comes time to dial in your shutter speed, you're gonna have to sit there with the directional button and mess with stuff. So what I like to do is I actually like to have my memory 1 set at 24 frames per second, my memory 2 set at 60 frames per second, my memory 3 at 120 frames per second. That way I don't have to fiddle around with anything and I know that it's going to look right the second I put it into that mode. I also like to dial in everything else with it, including the picture profile that I'm going to be using, changing my ISO to auto. I like it to come on in auto mode, and then if I want to, I can change things later. So some of the special buttons that came stock on this camera are really pretty cool. I am a huge fan of product showcase mode. I think that it's an amazing idea and I hope that Sony puts it on all of their cameras moving forward. But although I think it's really neat for beginners who don't know how to adjust their aperture to get a shallow depth of field, I think the blurry background button is cool, but not for me, especially because it's so close to my shutter and my record button. I kept hitting it and turning it on and it was messing with my video and I got pissed off one too many times and I decided to change it out to toggle my ND filter on and off, which if you didn't know, this camera comes with a built-in ND filter and it's amazing. I wish that all cameras had built-in ND filters. One of the things that I use all the time is zebras. So I changed my center button to actually toggle my zebras on and off so I can easily see them, but they kind of get in the way. So when I don't want stripes all over everything, I can easily just tap this button and turn it off. And then my left directional button over here is going to actually take me into the zebra menu so I can choose what settings I want to use. And these are just things that I use all the time. You may have a different workflow, so you can change these buttons out to do whatever you'd like them to do. And lastly, we all know that the Sony menu system is quite vast, and honestly, I like it. I mean, I do like having that much control over all of my settings, but not at the expense of it taking me 3 years to go through the entire menu to find one setting that I want to change. And so one of the things that I did that has helped me a lot is just by setting up a custom menu in there. So all I have to do is hit that menu button, and I actually have it set up so that favorites will come up first. It won't even go to menu 1 first. So if I'm in a run and gun situation and I'm having to move quickly, all I have to do is hit menu and I can change something immediately, like my record setting or my file format. I've also done the same thing with my function menus. All of my functions are things that I use on a regular basis and will make it quick for me to use in my workflow. And if you make these changes, you will turn this little baby cute little camera into a viable professional B camera and an excellent vlogging option. So now that you've got this thing all tuned up, if you're looking for the perfect vlog accessory, which is the PGY-Tech Mantis Pod Pro, check out the video on screen. And that's actually what I'm using, so if I keep looking down, that's